This week's parsha is Parshat Korach. This Dvar Torah is based on a shir I heard from Rav Bernstein he recorded it in 2011. I will attach the link below. It's his opening Dvar Torah. Now Rav Bernstein asks is, what gets Korach going? After all, we see that Korach is making machloket on Moshe. Why? What prompted this? Rashi asks this question. He asks it on Vedotan Vaviram, that's the Dibra Matchil, and lo and behold, not such a big surprise, things that have been motivating people for ages: jealousy, envy. He was jealous about the appointment of Eltzaphan ben Uziel to the position of Nasi of Pnei Kahat. We've spoken about in the past that Levi had 3 tribes. There was Kahat, Gershon, and Merari. So Kahat was the family that Moshe Rabbeinu was from, and also that Korach was from. Now Kahat had 4 sons. The first son was Amram. That's where Miriam, Aaron, and Moshe Rabbeinu were from. So Moshe became the Melech, right? He was Moshe Rabbeinu. Aaron became the Kohen Gadol. So who gets Nasi of Bnei Kahat? Each one of those tribes had their own Nasi, had their own leader, their own prince, if you will. So because Amram seems to have run out of sons, so you'd think that we would have gone to the second son, right? Yitzhar, who is the second son of Kehat. Korach was the oldest son of Yitzhar, and yet he didn't get it. Eltzaphan got it. Eltzaphan was the son of Uziel, and Uziel was the youngest son of Kehat. So Korach is like, hang on a second, if we're going to go according to, we're going to set rank according to the oldest son of the oldest sons, then I'm next. And he was furious about this, the fact that Eltzaphan was appointed. So that's Rashi's explanation. Now there are 2 simple basic questions on Rashi that Rav Bernstein points out. Firstly, why can't we just take the pasuk at its word that's what Korach is, that what Korach says he's upset about is what he's actually upset about? That is to say, we say, what's Korach really after? Why is he really upset? Why is he really making machloket on Moshe? Why are we even asking that question? After all, now the Midrash gives the answer that it's because Korach was envious, but Rashi doesn't just quote Midrashim for fun. He does it in response to a difficulty in the pasuk. He wants to know, this pasuk is difficult, so here's my explanation. This is what Korach was really after. But at the end of the day, we could always just say, well, Rashi, like, the pasuk gives us the answer to that. It seems like he's saying, kulam kadoshim. Right? Everyone is kadosh, so we're after the kahuna. We want to do the avoda. That's what his official platform is. How do we know that Korach is actually after something else? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, when Rashi brings up this, what Korach is really after, not when he explains the words to Vayikach Korach. He has at least 2 explanations to what Vayikach Korach means, and he waits. Ben Yitzhar ben Kahat ben Levi, he gives his own pirush there, and only once we reach Vedotan Vaviram does Rashi say, and this is what Korach is really after. Why are you waiting so long? You should have introduced that once we saw Korach, not once we see Dotan of Aviram. It's you've placed it too late. It's out of place. Now, Rav Bernstein mentions that the question to 1 is going to answer the question on the latter, or on the former, I should say. Why is that? Because Korach is a complicated person, and we're not really sure what exactly he's after, right? Now, Korach's group has different factions in it. There are different types of people. We have Dotan and Aviram, right? These are known troublemakers. From the very first instance that we see them in a Sefer Shmot, actually, was after Moshe, of course, kills the Egyptian to save the Jew. That was that, and then the next day he goes out and he sees 2 Jews fighting. And he says, why are you fighting? So his people are like, what, you're going to try to kill us like you killed that Egyptian? They're slandering him. That was Dotan Va'aviram. They're the ones who ratted out Moshe and who were causing all that trouble. That's just the first instance, and they were regularly there. Whenever there was trouble to be made with Moshe, they were there. So Korach, of course, Dotan Va'aviram is going to join, just for fun. Because that's what they do. But there are also the 250 men, right? The Chamishim U'Matayim Nasiya Eda Kri'ei Moed Anshe Shem. They're there too. What were they for? Why did they join Moshe? Because they wanted the avoda. They wanted the kahuna. Now, they're wrong, but that's a pretty noble thing to want. You know what I'm saying? These are the kinds of people who say, look, Moshe, we think that we should be the kohanim. We want to do the avoda. That's a pure motivation. Again, it's wrong, but at least if there's something to be wrong about, then that's the kind of thing you want to be wrong about. Now, what about Korach? What's Korach after? Now, the reason why we have to ask this is because his Ada, right, the people who who join up his factions are built out of people who have very different motivations. There's Datan v'Aviram and the 250 men. Those people are not after the same thing. So who does Korach have more of an affinity with? Now, how do we know that? Well, let's see who's mentioned first. Now the pasuk says as follows: Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kahat ben Levi veDatan v'Aviram bnei Eliyav ve'on ben Peleth bnei Reuven. Datan v'Aviram are mentioned first, and not only are they mentioned first, but the 250 men aren't even mentioned in the first pasuk. It's only the next pasuk that says Vayikumu lifnei Moshe v'anashim bnei Israel chamishim u'matayim nesiei Eda krei mod ma'anshe Shem. They don't even get this mention with Korach in that first pasuk. So we see that Korach has more in common with Datan v'Aviram. That's what the pasuk is alluding to. Now we need to ask ourselves, how on earth does Korach have more in common with Datan v'Aviram than he does with the 250 men? We thought his official platform was the fact that he wanted the kahuna. That's what he's saying. If that's true, then he should feel more of an affinity for the 250 men. And Datan v'Aviram are just hangers-on. They're just a crowd, right? But the essential group should be Korach and the 250 men. That's what the pasuk should say. That's the order that it should take. Korach, 250 men, then Datan v'Aviram. But the pasuk does not say that. The psukim do not say that. It's Korach and Datan v'Aviram. That's who he has an essential affinity with. The 250 men, they're just hangers-on, because that's not what Korach is after. He's after making a machloket with Moshe. That's what he wants. And that, of course, is why we need to ask, well, what does Korach really want? Now, that's a good question, and that's what Rashi is asking. That's why Rashi brings up this issue when we talk about V'Datan v'Aviram, because Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar, look, it's very possible that what Korach is after really is what he's saying, that he wants the avoda, he wants the kahuna. But once we see V'Datan v'Aviram, hang on a second. What's Korach really after? So that's what Rashi says. Now, the Mefarshim ask a basic question. They say, well, hang on a second. Rashi is asserting, based on the Midrash, that what Korach is really after is the Nesiut, right? He's jealous of Eltzafan, ben Uziel, the fact that Eltzafan was the one who's appointed as Nasi. Now, why did it take Korach so long to bring this up? Why do we ask this? Because we saw back when we counted the Bnei Israel and we started saying who was appointed Nasi, that took place in the Chodesh Sheni, right? That's Iyar. We're in Av now because the Meraglim, the Chet HaMeraglim took place on Tisha B'Av. That's one of the things we're mourning. So that was in Av. That's at least 3 to 4 months ago, and yet Korach only raises an issue about this now. Well, what was taking so long? Why did he wait? So it says with Rabbi Yonas and Eibeshitz that, look, the reason why Korach only moved to make a machloket now is because it was only now that he realized that this position of Nasi was going to be in place for 40 years. After all, when Bnei Israel sent the Meraglim, they're only a few days from entering Eretz Yisrael. Now, they had to ask a question to themselves, be like, hang on a second. Once we go into Eretz Yisrael, there's a very strong possibility of a reshuffle. Management might change once they go into Eretz Yisrael. Their position in the Midbar and their position in Eretz Yisrael are not the same things. So as a result, Korach had to ask himself, why on earth would I make a machloket now and start this whole fight and wage a war over something that could change in a few months? I'm not going to do anything. Let's just wait and see what happens. Maybe once we go into Eretz Yisrael, I will become the Nasi. So I'll wait, and if nothing changes, then I'll wage a war. Now, after the Chet HaMeraglim, everything changes, because now they're going to be in the Midbar for 40 years. 40 years and a few months are not the same thing. 40 years is a long time in politics, and therefore Korach decides to wage a war now. That's what's after it. There are, of course, other responses to this, but we'll leave it there. Shabbat Shalom.